Small percentages are allowed, right? And that's what you
I don't know if I can sit there. I might think that's why it's so
that makes sense.
I remember I guess I would go down and twice a week.
Well, thank you. Where would you like me here?
We're going to put you right there.
Okay.
I can't even remember. Here? Right here. Okay. We're going to take it right here. Run the timer. Question and the timer. You need that's randomly generate person respond, then we'll go to their left. And the next person is the next question. The last question,
We'll have
Okay.
what else is trying to get you?
No, should be good. Cookies. Sorry, what? Birthday.
Yeah, birthday. Water and mic should be. Don't think we're going to get a lot here.
Probably a lot. Okay. I appreciate the opportunity.
My script.
I look at it. Works for me. Okay. Sure, appreciate it.
It's going like a week. Probably.
How are you?
Up here and different questions. All here. I call them everything. Coaching is helping a lot. No, but I came in. And I told the people when we returned. I missed her.
Oh, Jesse. Nice to meet you.
Count the chairs.
Hi, Rick. Please have to say hi.
Please say hi to me.
I can't get away from everybody, so
I saw you come in, but you didn't get very far away from the door. So we're just gonna.
Just trying to make sure I didn't push somebody out there.
Sunday, no, Sunday, I looked in the mirror.
They're good story.
I looked in the mirror and I go, what did you tell me about this? Because I didn't sit to this now. And I was working on cars and procedures, or maybe.
Next page.
Think of good story.
Yeah, because I had a nightmare in the middle of the night.
I'm glad I hit it.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
Thank you.
Will randomly generate the first response.
I don't know
John Du
if
Bois.
I've ever met him.
John. Oh, glad to meet you. How are you?
That's what makes me so.
I've got a granddaughter that goes to school there. Which one? Her name is Emma Du Bois Souter. She's in the.
So that's the procedure with Jesse Lynn.
No. You got somebody over there. Yeah, and 8th graders who know that. For sure. Yeah, ones you always see.
That's the procedures. Questions on the next page.
Okay.
Ones are on the
Great. Thank you.
These are the procedures that will follow. The questions are on the next page. Our pathway excellence is on the following page.
Okay.
That's our goals.
Is this me here?
That's you.
I was in the airport.
How's it going?
Oh, are you?
Get the computer out, I went into my bag, and of course I get.
I got new chairs since I was there last.
Yeah,
Can't believe it.
they're nice.
I think they are.
I reached in there and started pulling out and this.
Are you ready for these?
No, not at all. This one, two, three. This is the third, yes, okay. Whatever, you got my vote, you know that. Yeah, this is the second. Okay. Yours definitely the election. Yes. I wish you luck. Well, have some, it's gonna be an air double times. These are all, get through all these questions.
So the other thing up here will be the question and also the time limit. So 8 of the questions you have a minute. Question number 7 you have 30 seconds. And that will be running.
You'll be able to, instead of me trying to.
Yeah, it is.
30 seconds.
They got one. Double fisted. That's the gun policy. Correct. Yeah, it is. Let's see.
See everybody else use them.
Most of that, vote of police, please give us a hard time.
Hey, Mark, I wanted to show you. Hall of Fame. It was made in 1997.
Oh,
We had fun with that. We had a lot of fun with that. And Roy Lloyd on the sideline, I'll never forget that line. He was way into that quarterback. That word you were shaking, not stirred back up. Yeah, I was like, I'd love to get that, you get that home. That probably does. Lots of fun. Yes. Love to have it happen again.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's right, that was me.
It is. It's one of those questions you can never answer.
the report. Testing 1, 2. What, is it 1 minute?
Yep.
1 minute, okay.
1 minute.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise for the national anthem, or the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everyone. Are we on here? There we are. Okay. We welcome you to the School Board Candidate Forum, sponsored by UNT County School District Number 1. School Board candidates, we appreciate your willingness to serve the community of Evanston as a member of the school board. We wish you well in your campaign and on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th. This is a forum to provide an organized platform for candidates to express their opinions on important issues facing education in our community. A series of questions will be asked of all candidates. The questions were selected from those submitted by the staff of UNT County School District Number 1 and the Evanston community. Special thanks to UNT County School District Number 1 School Board and the administration for sponsoring this forum, developing the format, and selecting the questions to be asked. Before we begin, a quick review of the procedures the forum will follow. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to respond to the first question, including an opening statement. The order will be from left to right. Questions 2 through 8 will be asked in a sequence, and that order will be determined by a random selection, with all candidates given the opportunity to respond to each question. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to respond, except for question 7, where each candidate will have 30 seconds to respond. To conclude, all candidates will have 1 minute to respond to question 9, including a closing statement, and that order will also be from left to right. We ask the candidates respect each other and the time limit that has been established. A timer will be visible, and when your time has expired, the moderator will respectfully move on to the next candidate. You will be given a copy of the procedures, and probably have so, I'm guessing, the questions and a copy of the Pathway to Excellence strategic plan for your use. So good luck, and again, thanks for participating.
So this will determine who goes first.
It's like Wheel of Fortune.
Good way of doing it.
Yes.
So we started with,
I am so lucky.
how about that?
Oh.
This will be question one, beginning with Janice Davis. What are your top 3 reasons for running for school board? And please elaborate on at least one of those reasons.
I have more than 3, but I will say 3. First of all, the students, our most precious resource. I have spent many years with elementary through high school. I think the employees is the second one is why I'm running. I'd like to be an advocate where the employees felt safe coming to me to talk to me. And wages. I would like to run and make sure that our employees are taken care of.
Thank you, Janice. Brian Woodward, what are your top 3 reasons for running for school board? And please elaborate on at least one of those reasons.
Everybody hear me okay? I only hear my own voice, so. You know, they're going to be real similar to Janice's. I believe that we need to assure that we have a motivated and excellent teaching staff, and I think we need to have a curriculum that continues to prepare our students for life out in the real world, and I think we need to make efforts to continue to have an environment where learning is a priority, and that the students are able to do that. And I'll go on to a 4th one, and that is that I would like to assure that we perpetuate the values that we have in this little community that have made this school district what it is now, which is a fantastic school district.
Thank you, Brian. We move to Caleb Guild. Same question for you. What are your top 3 reasons for running for school board? And please elaborate on at least one of those.
Yeah, so my top 3 reasons would be, 1, obviously I'm invested in this school district. I have 3 children who are attending elementary school right now. Service to my community. I've grown up in this community. My family's been in this community forever. And it's my opportunity to give back in any way that I can to serve the community. Whether that be through, and I think a lot of it goes through continuing what this great school district is doing right now. I think that they do a lot of wonderful things for the kids of this community. And I enjoy being a part of that. It's been fun in the first 4 years that I've served so far. And so my big one though would be giving back to the community that I have received so much from in my time here.
Thank you, Caleb. To David Bennett, what are your top 3 reasons for running for school board? And please elaborate on at least one of those reasons.
Well, I like the punishment. It's not my first rodeo, as you guys all know. I've been in the district a long time. I stepped out for 2 years, and I'm an opinionated guy, and my wife says, go do something besides complain to me about it. So I'm here because I think there's a couple of issues that I'm concerned about. I do have grandkids in the system, K-12, and I'm concerned about the funding that's going to be down the road, or how we're going to get that funding. I don't know if you folks remember, but years ago there was a white paper put out. I didn't realize from the white paper that Wyoming's main funding for a lot of years, I don't say how many, was coal, and coal is gone. So we have to find other ways to fund schools, and that seems to be a hard bullet to bite. So I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the social issues that are out there, the CRT, the gender issues, all that stuff. I don't want it in schools, and
Thank you, David.
I will say something about it.
Our time has expired,
I
thank
thought we
you.
had a minute.
It expired, and then it goes to that.
Okay. You mean it, what, run that by me again?
It went by.
It goes to a minute, and then that's just.
Oh, already used a minute. Okay. That's all
Thank you,
right.
David.
I'll get back to the other in the next part.
We move on to Shelby Powell. What are your top 3 reasons for running for school board, and please elaborate on at least one of those.
I am running to try to ensure for student success. Particularly, I was concerned about the high school graduation rate. I'm also concerned about teacher retention and student support. Our teachers are a valuable resource, and our teacher retention has to come from more than just salaries. It has to come through actual support of our teachers and taking things off their plates. They are overwhelmed and overworked, and we need to take care of our teachers to retain them.
Shelby, thank you. We move to Jenny Welling. What are your top 3 reasons for running for school board, and please elaborate on at least one of those reasons.
First and foremost is always students and staff. Another one is just striving to reach the goals that we have set and also maintaining the ones that we've already achieved in high reliability schools. The third is probably school safety. I'm a huge advocate for doing everything that we can, and I think the district has done a fantastic job of the Safe Defend boxes, Rule CKA. We've worked really hard on those things, and I want to make sure that that continues to improve.
Thank you, Jenny. To Jesse Lind, what are your top 3 reasons for running for school board, and please elaborate on at least one of those reasons.
Reason number 1 is I went through this school district, graduated with a great education, was able to take that and go on to college. So I feel this was a way that I could give back to my community and my school district that I felt gave me a great education. I have kids in the school district. I've had one that's graduated already, but then I also have a 5-year-old at home that plans to go through this school district. So I feel like I want to be involved and I want to know what's going on, and I feel like this was the best way to do that. I also feel like I'm qualified to be on this board. My experience in finance, my education should be an asset to making sure that we are in a good position to fund what needs to be funded as far as our kids, our salaries, our teachers, and to ensure the kids get a kind of education that I received.
Thank you, Jesse. And we finish off question 1, back on the other end, with John Dubois. What are your top, or Du Bois, excuse me, what are your top 3 reasons for running for school board, and please elaborate on at least one of those.
I've currently been on the school board for 10 months, approximately. I was appointed to the position when the last school board member resigned and retired. So it's been a heavy learning lesson for me in the last 10 months on the issues facing this school district, and trying to learn exactly the financial end, the education end, the teachers end. I mean, the whole thing. It's not been overwhelming, but I've learned so much. I spent 19 years in the military, and I've been a lot of years in business. My focus has always been on the safety and security of the youth and of the teachers in the school district. My priority has always been with the students with regard to their safety, their education, and their development as individuals. Secondly, it's about providing the best compensation for our staff. And I know that this school board currently is working diligently with the superintendent to see that that happens in the future.
Thank you, John.
So, the next one will go to Brian.
To Brian, okay, so we just, okay, we'll start with question 2, and that goes to you first, Brian Woodward. What do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member, and what is your priority?
So I believe that the purpose of the school board is here to support the staff and the administration in creating an environment where appropriate learning can occur and we can prepare our youth for life. And that I believe that we're here to safeguard and assure that objective is met.
Thank you, Brian. Caleb Gill, to you, what do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member, and what is your priority?
Oh, I think Mr. Woodward hit a lot of those points on the head. Obviously, the policies that run a school district go through the school board. I think that's important. Those policies need to come from teachers up as well. Some of those changes to help keep a school district running. But priority-wise, obviously, the education and safety of our students and staff, making sure that this is a place where students come, they learn, they feel like it's a safe place to learn, and they receive a quality education from, I think, a great staff and great administrators. So I think that's number one priority of a school board, is to make sure that those things are happening.
Thank you, Caleb. David Bennett, to you, what do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member, and what is your priority?
Well, our responsibility as board members is to first create and support the policies of the district. We also can add policy as a board, and also is to support the superintendent. We do not hire and fire. Sometimes people think that why aren't we in that game, but we're not. And we expect our superintendent through his administrative team to make those kind of changes. Doesn't mean that we don't maybe make some suggestions, but it's his responsibility, and that's where I come. And I support the parents. I mean, in my short time at the high school, I had policies that had to be dealt with, and I'm sure it worked out because no one said I wasn't doing what they wanted done. Thank you.
Thank you, David. To Shelby Powell, what do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member, and what is your priority?
As Mr. Bennett said, the roles and the responsibility is to guide policy for the district, but also to take input from the community to make sure the district is following the will of the community. I believe that student success should be the priority of the district, and that would be my priority, to try to make sure those supports are there to help our students.
Thank you, Shelby. Jenny Welling, what do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member, and what is your priority?
The roles of a school board member are to set budgets and make sure we stick to those. And then, as Dave said, we set policy and then make sure that those policies are being followed. I mean, quite simply, that's the role of a board member. I like what Dave said, though, in that, we're not in this game to hire or fire anybody. There's a lot of people in the community that think that we have that power. That is the superintendent, and we as a board, working in conjunction with the superintendent and his administrators, like he said, we can make suggestions, but we're here to support them and make sure that our students and staff are taken care of.
All right, thank you, Jenny. To Jesse Lynn, what do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member? What is your priority?
I think the role is to be more of an oversight, fiscal, conservative, financial board, to look at the budgets and the finances, the way they're spent. And then at the same time, we are supposed to make policy and enforce that policy, hopefully to ensure that these kids are going to be educated properly and go out into the world the way they should be, where they're prepared and ready to be a productive part of society. So just to oversee that the policy and the budgets are in line.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. To John Du Bois, what do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member? What is your priority?
Well, when I was appointed to be on the board 10 months ago, one of the first things I did is I went online, and I wanted to learn what my responsibilities were. So I went to the Wyoming School Board Associations. They've got a presentation in there, and I read it extensively, trying to understand my responsibilities. The current board, we have set educational goals for the district. It's my responsibility to ensure that state law and policies are followed, in addition to hold the superintendent and district staff accountable in pursuit of those goals. It's important for the board members, myself, to know the purpose of the district, how it is organized, know the income and the expenses of the district, the budget, understand state law, board policy, how business is conducted. I have a firm grasp in these areas in my short 10 months that I've been on the board. I study the issues, I'm well prepared for all board meetings, and I'm not afraid to engage with pertinent and appropriate questions.
Thank you, John. And we end up with question 2 with Janice Davis. What do you believe are the roles and responsibilities of a school board member? What is your priority?
I absolutely agree about the policies and the budgets and the support of the administration, but I also feel that we need to be more available for the staff of UNT County, and that they feel free to come and talk to a school board member and not feel that they shouldn't or be afraid. And I think there needs to be more rapport between the board and their employees.
Okay, thank you, Janice. We now move to question 3, and we'll begin with Caleb Guild. What is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing? Please explain.
I think if you looked nationwide, maybe that would be your thought, that maybe public schools are failing. I think in our community, honestly, I don't think we are. As a whole, I think it's hard to attack public education as a whole across an entire nation and say that it's failing. I don't think that's right. They're governed by a community, and a community support of an education, I think, is vital in that education for their kids in that community to be successful. If they're not supported, I think it probably would fail. Here, I think you get good support of your community, and I think this school district does a great job. And being a kid who's coming through this educational system, I think they do a good job. I think they're well-rounded, and they want not only educated kids, but well-rounded kids coming out of this school district.
Thank you, Caleb. To David Bennett. What is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing?
As far as the national narrative go, I'm like Caleb. I don't agree with that representing Evanston or UNT County School District number 1. I think we make an effort to do a good job in this district, and it's proven through the years. I realize we've had the turnover in staff, but part of that has to do with the fact that we're competing with the Wasatch Front now, so we're losing people because of the funding down there. I believe that public schools are only failing because the parents are failing, and the parents are our issue in schools, and that's where I come from. Fix the parents, the kids will come along. Thank you.
Thank you, David. To Shelby Powell, what is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing?
I also feel that the blanket statement that all schools are failing is incorrect. There is room for improvement in all schools, in some schools more than others. I have been impressed with the education that my children are receiving in this school district. They have been very successful, and we are pleased with the opportunities they have had. Do we need to improve? Yes. But comparing a blanket statement is incorrect. Public schools do a good job. I'm a product of public schools, and I have a great education and have taken that education even further in my lifetime.
Thank you, Shelby. To Jenny Welling, what is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing?
Well, I agree with what's been said so far. I don't think it's fair to judge all districts the same way, and I feel that UNT County School District number 1 has been doing a fantastic job of making sure that we're constantly trying to improve the work that we've done with high reliability schools and ensuring a guaranteed and viable curriculum. All of that, I think we're doing great things, and I want to make sure that we continue doing that. I'm sure there probably are districts failing, but I think to say that as a nation all of education is failing, I don't think that's a fair statement.
Jenny, thank you. Jesse Lind, what is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing?
I don't believe they're all failing, especially the school district. I think they're doing a great job. I do believe there's some places in this country that have definitely lost their way, and I'm glad that this isn't one of them. So hopefully we can keep it that way, and that's why I'm trying to run for school board.
Thank you, Jesse. John Du Bois, what is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing?
I agree with the Wyoming Superintendent's Association and Superintendent Thomas regarding the issue of responsibility of the parents with regard to sex education and things of that nature, that belongs with the parents. That doesn't belong in the school district. I know that there's a lot of school districts in the nation that are failing at that. This school district is not failing at that. This is a very conservative community, and as a grandparent with 4 kids and the grandkids in the school district, and keep that stuff out of the schools. That belongs to the parents. And the school district is doing a very good job at making sure that doesn't happen here. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, John. To Janice Davis. What is your position? Go ahead.
Yeah, I also agree that that's a blanket statement, and I would like to say I was on the front lines after the COVID, the shutdown, and what we had to do to teach the students. And I will tell you, every teacher in this district worked very hard to make sure the students were successful with what we had. Then, when we came back to school, when all schools did not, the teachers of this district doubled down and worked twice as hard. That's why we're not failing. We are more succeeding because of our employees of Uintah County School District Number 1.
Thank you, Janice. And we wrap up question 3 with Brian Woodward. What is your position on the national narrative that public schools are failing?
Well, I'll just go ahead and make it unanimous then. Yeah, there are schools out there in the nation that are failing. There is no question about it, and this is not one of them. Okay, look around this room. We've got a bunch of staff in here, we've got teachers in here, and these are great people. These are the people you see at the grocery store, in the park, in the restaurant, and they are dedicated to what they do, and they are striving to provide the best education they can for our students, or our children, and so forth. And so I can't say anything more.
Thank you, Brian. We now move on to question 4, and we'll begin with David Bennett. What is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan, Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
My level of support is I definitely support the Pathway to Excellence, our strategic plan, our vision to provide the highest quality of education for all of our students, and it's important that we have highly reliable, all of our schools. The communication plan that has gone with that, I've seen it firsthand. My wife being a 6th grade teacher, retired now, she would always comment to me how important it was to get the rest of the teachers together at her level and have the interaction back and forth. And it was stabilizing both ways, because I believe the teachers have an opportunity to meet their colleague and communicate their issues back and forth, and they actually support the curriculum that they're involved in. So I definitely support what the district's doing there.
Thank you, David. To Shelby Powell, what is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan, Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
My opinion is that sorry, had a little brain freeze there, that they are good goals, that they put forth a pathway that is achievable and commendable. Do they need work? Yes, we need to work on them. I was particularly impressed the last board meeting, they were talking about behavior, that the emphasis this year is on behavior, and I like that goal that's in the district goals. However, decreasing referrals, I don't know if that's really the best measure, because decreasing referrals may just mean the teachers aren't writing referrals, that they're still seeing the same behavior. So we need to make sure that the goals are really achieving what they need to achieve.
Shelby, thank you. To Jenny Welling, what is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan, Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
I fully support this. I've been on the board for almost 12 years now, so myself and my fellow board members have helped develop a lot of this along with the administration. And a minute isn't even enough to really cover how I feel about this, but the Pathway to Excellence, we require high expectations for our students and staff. We're working on the high reliability schools, which we have to qualify for. We're focusing on life skills. And the nice thing about the guaranteed and viable curriculum, and Mr. Rigby talked about this a week ago, is that you can go into any third grade classroom in the district and the same curriculum is being taught. Now, it may be being taught in a different way because that's what the teachers do. They bring their creativity to teaching that curriculum. But that's what a guaranteed and viable curriculum is that every student in every grade level is being taught the same thing. And that is really important.
Thank you, Jenny. Jesse Lind, what is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
I support the strategic plan. I think it's a good blueprint to start with. Like I said, it should be a working document that where you can hopefully adjust where need to adjust. I'd like to emphasize mostly the accountability part, making sure that our students are held accountable, everybody's held accountable. I think that gets lost sometimes. And make sure that we are conservative fiscally planning to move forward. But for overall, I support the strategic plan.
Thank you, Jesse. John Du Bois, what is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
Well, when this was first presented, I actually did some studying before it was actually presented, and I fully support this pathway. Yes, it's a working document. There was some minor changes from last year to this year, but I support them completely. And if you look at the Pathway to Excellence, you see there's a lot more board goals than there are other goals for others in the district. I agree with Mr. Peterson in the fact that I think that a lot of the responsibility for what happens in the school, it goes on the parents. Teachers can't solve all the problems. I've met a lot of teachers, and they try their best to do what they can do to help all of the students be their best, but it falls back on the parents, and I think that the school district's done an excellent job. I mean, you've got the high reliability schools, level 2. All the schools in the district are level 2 right now. It's the only school district in the state that are at level 2, and they're working on 3 right now.
To Janice Davis.
I lived these. I helped make these. I helped talk about these. I agree with them. I think there's some areas for improvement. Yes, I agree about the parents, but you can't necessarily change that. So you take the student with what they have, and you teach that student the best you can. I wish it was different. It is not. So some of these issues are not black and white. Sometimes they're a little gray in that area on some of these, but I do support both the board and the district goals.
Thank you, Janice. To Brian Woodward, what is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
I think it's a great plan. It's clearly well thought out. A lot of time has gone into it, and it's quite comprehensive, and I am absolutely supportive of it.
Thank you, Brian. And we end off question 4 with Caleb Guild. What is your opinion of the board and district goals listed on the strategic plan Pathway to Excellence, and what is your level of support?
Well, basically echoing what's been already said, but it's a great set of goals, it's a great pathway, it's a great structure to follow and hopefully achieve success. I mean, that's what we're going for here. There again, it is a working document. It's something that is changed as we see necessary to make changes, to implement changes in the district. My support is 100%. I think that this district does a great job of trying to make goals that make sense and that move a district in a good direction, and so I fully support them.
Thank you, Caleb. Shelby Powell, we begin with you for question number 5. Again, everyone will have 1 minute. This is a 2-part question. A, what is your position on the lawsuit submitted by the Wyoming Education Association challenging the state's funding of schools? And B, should Uintah County School District Number 1 support or not support the lawsuit?
I support the lawsuit. The legislature is mandated to fund education, and they have ignored the studies that have shown the level of funding that they need and have not supported education the way they should. Education is the key to success. I'm the daughter of a mother who was widowed at 44 worked 3 part-time jobs until she was able to go back to school and get an education. Education is important for our children's success in the future, and so I support the lawsuit, and I support the districts joining that lawsuit.
Thank you, Shelby. To Jenny Welling, what is your position on the lawsuit submitted by the Wyoming Education Association challenging the state's funding of schools, and should UNT County School District Number 1 support or not support the lawsuit?
We as a board voted to support the lawsuit. The state of Wyoming is mandated by the Wyoming Constitution to fund education and fund education at a high level. The state has shorted us millions of dollars over the last 9 or 10 years, and we are losing our competitive edge in being able to hire new teachers and maintain the funding for the teachers that we already have. We have declining enrollment, so we're losing funding that way too. And so I think it's a risk because we don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think we need to do it, and I fully support the lawsuit.
Thank you, Jenny. Jesse Lind, what is your position on the lawsuit submitted by the Wyoming Education Association challenging the state's funding of schools, and should UNT County School District Number 1 support or not support the lawsuit?
Just to echo what they said, I think education is extremely important. It's been a pathway for me, so the legislature and the state needs to fund it accordingly. So yes, I would definitely support us joining in and supporting the lawsuit, and echo exactly what those two just said.
Thank you, Jesse. To John Du Bois, what is your position on the lawsuit submitted by the Wyoming Education Association challenging the state's funding of schools, and should UNT County School District Number 1 support or not support?
Well, as Jenny Welling stated, we on the school board completely supported this. I had questions regarding how much money it was going to cost the school district. It was minimal. I also had questions as to who's going to benefit from this if this lawsuit goes forward and it's won. Who's going to benefit? Is the 48 school districts going to benefit from it, or is it going to be just several that funded the lawsuit? Well, it's all 48, so I'm willing to live with that because that will affect all 48 school districts in the state of Wyoming, and this school district, of course. I fully supported it. I think what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. This is the right thing to do.
Thank you, John. To Janice, would you like the question repeated?
Okay, I also agree, but it seems to me that Superintendent Thomas has been fighting lawsuits for many, many years, and it seems like maybe the state should try and get it right for once or whatever. But I do support it, and I think we should go forward, and it should be funded for our school, yes.
Thank you, Janice. Brian Woodward.
I confess that I've known about the lawsuit for about 5 days. And so it's probably a little early for me to commit wholeheartedly to something like that. But it is clear that we have to have consistency and predictability in funding our school districts, or we just can't do what we need to do here. And so, given what I know at this point, is likely that I would support joining the lawsuit and proceeding. But I would have to have a little bit more information, and that's the reality of it.
Thank you, Brian. Caleb Gill.
My position, it's necessary. History kind of already shows us that it was necessary once already. And my support, absolutely 100% support. Kind of like facing a bully. Someone's got to make them knock it off.
Thank you, Caleb. And final candidate to answer question 5, David Bennett.
I'm pretty good at facing a bully, so let him come on. I support the lawsuit. The school district have fought education funding for years, and even when I was at the high school, we fought the issue. The issue really is the fact the state doesn't have the money they used to have. And then the school districts got used to being fat and having that money. So the legislature's got to cut back because they don't have the money, so it's a kind of a vicious circle. Because I really believe that they created the monster because we had all that money and they gave it to us. And now that money isn't available, so we've got to find a happy medium. So that's where I am.
Thank you, David. We move on to question number 6, and we'll begin with Jenny Welling. Again, 1 minute to answer. What is one thing you believe our district does well, and conversely, one thing you think the district needs to improve upon?
I'm really proud of the district and the strides that we've made in a lot of different areas. We talked about high reliability schools, and a lot of people are hearing us say that over and over again, and they probably don't know exactly what that is, but we've worked really hard. And as John Du Bois said, qualified at a level 2. I'm proud of our work on safety in our schools. We've been working on that, Dave, since 2016?
Yeah.
It's taken a long time, and it always needs improvement, but we are constantly striving to improve that and make it so that our schools are very safe. One thing that I think we can work on, and I know the administration gets tired of us saying this, but there's always room for improvement, and especially in our communication. We're always trying to strive to get better in our communication with the community and parents and staff. So,
Thank you, Jenny. Jesse Lind, what is one thing you believe our district does well and one thing you think the district needs to improve?
The best thing that our school district does is the support of these kids. I think we provide the best education we can. We do everything we can make sure they're supported to graduate, everything they need, along with the community supporting the school district. So the support we have for these kids in this community, I think, is the best thing that we do. Then I wish the kids were a little more prepared for leaving high school and going into the real world. I think we could possibly improve on that. A lot of these kids may not choose college as their, option after high school, and they go right into the workforce. And I just wish they were sometimes a little bit more prepared for that, reading, writing, arithmetic, but at the same time, I think we could teach them better communication skills in the business world. I think we could just get them more prepared that if they choose not to go directly to college, then they go into the workforce, so they could be better well prepared.
Jesse, thank you. John Du Bois, what is one thing you believe our district does well and one thing you think the district could improve?
The time that I spent in the military, I had budgets that I had to adhere to my commanders and to my soldiers. When I left the military, I went into business. I had to live and breathe by my budgets that I developed. I currently run a business here in town, and I live and breathe by my budget. I think that the one thing that the school district does very well is, and this isn't Mr. Williams does a fantastic job. It's a 33-page budget. I don't know if anybody's read this thing. It can be boring to some, but to me, I'm a dime guy. I like looking at nickels and dimes. That budget is outstanding, and the school district does a very good job at adhering to the allocation of funds that are given by the federal or state grants. They do a fantastic job, and that's key to the success of this school district, in my opinion, other than other things as well.
Thank you, John. Janice Davis, what is one thing you believe our district does well and one thing maybe you believe the district could improve?
One thing our district does very, very well is they have meetings, okay? And anybody that is a teacher or involved with it will realize that, but they're very important, so I will say that. I think we need to improve on communication. There is a lack of communication with administrators, employees, school board. There's lots of times where our district doesn't know what they're doing every time because it's a little different when you go to one meeting and then you're told something different at another. So I think communication is what we need to work on.
Thank you, Janice. To you, Brian Woodward, what is one thing you believe our district does well and one thing you think the district could improve?
One of the things I think our district does really well is balance a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, they've got a ton of requirements, and they've got objectives, and they've got resources, and they've got restrictions, and they do a fantastic job of meeting their objectives in the face of those challenges. And as far as what they could do better, well, any organization has things that can be refined and improved, and I'm certain this is no different. In speaking to some of the people in the school district, communication came up multiple times that maybe the right hand needs to kind of know what the left hand's doing, maybe a little bit better. And so that might be one of the things that we evaluate.
Thank you, Brian. Caleb Guild, what is one thing you believe our district does well, one thing you think the district needs to improve?
Yeah, so as far as do well, and I'm seeing this firsthand with my kids, and that's, I guess I want to call it the extracurriculars that our teachers are doing above and beyond for our students, for our kids. And then the collaboration that they do on grade levels that gives the support for these kids when they do it. The PLC times, win time for my kids in the elementary schools, absolutely love it. It's amazing for my kids, making sure that they're staying caught up, and if they need something, they're getting that something. I think this district does an amazing job of making sure those kids are where they need to be. And echoing Jenny and now Mr. Woodward, communication, just making sure that is clear to everybody across the board as to what it is that we're asking them to do.
Thank you, Caleb. David Bennett, what is one thing you believe our district does well, and one thing you think the district could improve?
Well, I may be wrong here, but I'm just going by my reflections on the high school, and I believe we've continued a lot of that, and that is the fact that this district has built a camaraderie among the staff. Not only their opportunity to collaborate with each other, but the building administration, top down, I feel like they've created a non-threatening environment. I think that's really helpful for educators to communicate the communication problem, communication bottom up to their supervisors and make that happen. The other thing that I think that we could do a better job of is school discipline, K-12. It's always been a problem. I've talked to Mr. Lester, and he told me about a plan they're working on this year at the high school. I think will really help what's going on. But kids have to be responsible for their behavior. And my belief is that you can't teach if you can't keep control of what's going on.
Thank you, David. We move to Shelby Powell. What is one thing you believe our district does well, and one thing you think the district needs to improve?
The first thing that came to my mind that the district does well is provide opportunities for our kids. Again, I've mentioned I have 3 children in the district, and they all have their own interests and have been able to explore those interests and be successful. And that has given them the motivation to succeed in school. So I think that is very well. What thing they could improve is support in the classroom. I know part of that comes down to budget, but having been in the classroom, I've had students who needed Tier 3 support, but were pulled out of Tier 3 programs because they did not have enough people to provide the support they needed. And as a teacher, that's heartbreaking. So I know budgets have a lot to do with that, but making sure that the support is in the classroom.
Thank you, Shelby. We'll move on to question number 7, and we'll begin with Jesse Lind. You'll only have 30 seconds on this answer. Longest question, shortest answer. What is your position on the state statute WS 21-3-132 and district policy CKA that allows employees to conceal carry in Wyoming schools? Please explain.
I'm in favor of the policy. Concealed carry doesn't bother me a bit. One thing that does bother me is that feel like that we have the need for it. Feel like that's what we need to keep the kids safe. I remember when I went to school, didn't feel like we needed that. But as far as the policy goes, it doesn't bother me.
Thank you, Jesse. To John DuBois, would you like that question repeated?
No.
Okay.
When I became on the school board, I think it was January, February, this issue was brought up, and I studied because safety was a big priority with having concealed carry on the school grounds. I studied the issues. I studied where the training was coming from. I studied was law enforcement involved in the city. They absolutely were. I was completely satisfied with the entire program, and as a board member, I voted yes, that this is I fully support it. We can't be too careful today.
Thank you, John. Janice Davis.
Okay, we did do training as teachers on this, but I support it 100%. My husband and I both have talked about becoming concealed carriers ourselves. As a teacher, knowing who is carrying a gun or if there is somebody carrying a gun makes me feel safe, or made me feel safer when I was working.
Thank you, Janice. Brian Woodward.
I am 100% supportive of it. I think the school district did a great job in creating it, putting it together, making sure the pieces were in place to supervise it, make sure it was done correctly, and so I support it completely.
Thank you, Brian. We move to Caleb Guild.
Yeah, absolutely support this policy. Along with Mr. Lind, you wish you didn't have to have it, but I think it's an excellent tool for the safety of our kids, and I think it's necessary for the safety of our kids. So I 100% support the policy.
Caleb, thank you. David Bennett.
This policy came about because of the legislature passing that responsibility on the local districts, and we jumped on it 5, 6 years ago, and I've been involved with it since the get-go. So I think it's important. Just the sign as you come to the building is enough to make someone at least think about something, and that's what we've got to do. And as an educator, as a building principal, the first guy that's going to get it's probably the building principal. So he better be packing if he's got any brains, and I packed all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Shelby Powell.
I also support the policy, but I support it because I'd rather have somebody trained to the level that the policy requires than somebody just coming in without that training with a gun in the school. I know Mr. Bennett mentioned a few years ago that he used to pack when he was a principal. Again, I'd rather have teachers trained for the policy and use the policy than just not have one.
Thank you, Shelby. Jenny Welling.
We live in a different world now. Caleb and I and Jesse have all graduated from Evanston High School, and times were different, even if it was just 5 years ago. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. I hate that we have to even consider doing this, but I feel a lot better knowing that my child would be in a classroom with a teacher that is caring, that could defend them if need be, if, God forbid, a shooter should come into their school. So I fully support this policy and have from the day we started it.
Thank you, Jenny.
I need to add one thing to that policy. The teacher is not instructed to go find the shooter. Their only responsibility is in that classroom. People need to know that. Some people think the teacher's going to be out there looking. No, that's not going to happen. Correct?
We move to question number 8, and we'll begin with John DuBois. What is your commitment for salaries and hourly rates for teachers and support staff to attract and retain the best qualified candidates?
Well, I agree with the position of the school district, being part of the coalition of 18 school districts, forking out the cash to support that effort in suing the state. I've looked at the Senate and the House Education Committee members. I've looked at their backgrounds and everything else, and I think personally, I think they've gone a different way from where they should be in their roles as the Education Committee members. We need to. I've been in Green River. I've talked to the the director of the Wyoming Association of School Boards. Hopefully I'll be going to Casper next month. It starts here, but it's got to go to the legislature. It's got to go to all those folks up there that live that work in Cheyenne, periodically during the year. It goes to them. They've got to change their ways, and I think I support this lawsuit. I support what the coalition's doing as well.
Thank you, John. To Janice Davis.
Jenny, I graduated from Evanston High School, too.
I wasn't sure, so I knew Jesse and Caleb and I had, so.
Wages are very, very important if you want to keep the quality teachers that we have. And I'm sad that some of our teachers chose to leave this year. We need to bring in the best qualified teachers, and the only way you're going to do that is if you're going to pay them higher wages. With a step that we get each year, it just maintains your insurance and your retirement. A lot of teachers are taking home less now than they did 3 or 4 years ago. And this isn't fair to them, and if you're wondering why we're losing them, that is why. If you want to maintain high-quality teachers, you need to pay for it.
Thank you, Janice. Brian Woodward, would you like the question repeated?
No.
Okay.
money doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't just appear out of thin air. And we need to provide the compensation that it's going to take to bring in the good staff. We all know that. The money that we pay teachers is a large and fundamental part of what will bring them here. There are other parts as well that need to be addressed too. But as it relates to paying them, we have got to find a way to be in a position that isn't something that's going to be driving away the talent that we want to have here.
Thank you, Brian. Caleb Guild.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the statements that have already been said. Just going back on my experiences from education in Evanston, Wyoming, if you've got a great teacher, you're going to get a great kid out of it. I can tell you right now that I remember the teachers that influenced me as a student through Evanston School District schools. I understand that it's hard to try to fund all this. It's not. It's a kind of a mess. It's kind of a puzzle to figure out. I agree with Ms. Davis. They do need to be compensated. The job they are doing is necessary, absolutely necessary. And to keep the good ones, you know the good ones, because they're the ones that they're the ones that change kids' lives, right. And they're important for our kids. So,
thank you, Caleb. David Bennett.
Well, I definitely support a salary increase for all staff at all levels. I remember the day when we'd have an application and we'd have 200 or 300 applicants for that. And those are the days when the Utah couldn't compete with us. Well, that's a different story. The Wasatch Front is always drawing people. There's a lot of different issues. Salary's one. I think the environment, in the sense that we've got winter and they don't, is the other one. The other thing I think we need to look at is we've got a lot of teachers, and my wife was one of them, that top out and they can't go anymore. They don't get paid anymore. Every year they're losing money. I think we need to come up with a salary schedule that there is no such thing as a top out. If you're still working for the district, you need to get X amount of dollars, like Janice says, and at least pay for the basics they're going to have to pay every year. And that's my concern with the staff. We've got some great people, at least we did have. I'm sure some of those are gone or retired, like me.
Thank you, David. Shelby Powell.
I also believe that we need to look at teacher salaries, but also support staff salaries. I've mentioned, one of the problems we're facing in the district is support staff and the lack of it and the inability to maintain support staff. And part of that's a reason because they can go to Walmart or McDonald's and make more than they do at the district. And so we need to look at all salaries. Teachers, they're the lowest paid for their level of education. A lot of our teachers have masters or higher, and they're not paid for that education. So I do support that.
Shelby, thank you. Jenny Welling?
I can assure you that staff salaries are one of our top priorities as a board and as administrators. That is something that we are always striving to try and make better, but it's like Mr. Woodward said, money doesn't grow on trees, and there are so many different facets to running a district. It is not just the staff. We have lots of different things that play into that, and John Williams is a magician when it comes to budgeting and working with the funds that we have, but we are constantly striving to find ways that we can increase our staff's salaries so that we can be competitive and hire new talent out of colleges, but also pay our existing teachers what they deserve to be paid. And we are constantly trying to improve that.
Thank you, Jenny. Jesse Lind.
Our funding for education in this state has usually come from energy. And if anybody's noticed, our energy sector has been down for several years. So the lack of funding coming into education is the root of the problem on why we are not getting the money we should. But at the same time, that's why I support the lawsuit, is the legislature should find a way to continue to fund our education the way they funded it before, or at least close, or do their best bet to try and do that. So as far as a board member, as far as the school district goes, I think we need to provide the best pay, but while maintaining a fiscally conservative budget at the same time. But the root of the cause of us not receiving the money we should is because the energy sector in the state is not providing that kind of money. So But at the same time, we need to provide the best pay we possibly can while maintaining a good budget.
Jesse, thank you. We now move on to our final question, which will also include your closing statement, and we'll have 1 minute to, pardon me?
Mr. Medea, can I suggest, why don't we give you guys 2 minutes for
2 minutes?
the last question?
Okay.
We've gone faster than we anticipated, so we have the time.
Okay.
Everyone's okay with that? 2 minutes.
It sounded easy.
You can go a minute, and I can go a minute.
A little more daunting now, isn't it?
So this will include your closing statement. There is a question, obviously, to go along with that as well, but you'll have 2 minutes to respond whether, yeah, we have moved along here, less than an hour. How about that?
I don't think everybody can see that screen, right? So they might not understand that what's happened is they're trying to reprogram the clock to 2 minutes.
I think we begin where we got started with Janice Davis for question number 9 and a closing statement. If elected, what do you hope would be the district's key accomplishments during your years of service?
To continue student success that we have started. I love Evanston. I was born and raised here. I've raised my family here. My grandkids are here. I want the very best for our most precious resource so that they can be successful in life. I think that comes with strong schools, strong curriculum, a strong school board. I hope to see the morale of the teachers rise. I really think that our teachers feel beaten down, and they need to be appreciated for everything that they do. And it was brought up, times have changed. Yes, they have. You do not realize the behavior or the other things that a teacher confronts every day. And that needs to be taken into consideration, and I hope we do that, so that they are compensated or appreciated for what they are doing. They work weekends, they stay late after school. The success of our students is through our employees of this school district, and I hope that their morale and their appreciation is shown.
Janice Davis, thank you. To Brian Woodward.
We certainly need to attract the best talent and bring them here. But I got to tell you, when you sit up here at the front of this room and you look out there at the people that are here and the staff that we currently have and the level of dedication and expertise and education and so forth that they have, I have to echo that same sentiment that we need to make sure that we're creating an environment where we're compensating and fulfilling the people that we have, that we're creating an environment where they go home at the end of a day with a sense of accomplishment and achievement, and that they are motivated to excellence. And, you know, Caleb said, if you've got a good teacher, if you have an excellent teacher, you're going to have an excellent student, and that's clearly the truth. And, you know, I sit here and I listen to what everybody's saying, and I agree with all of them. And so, I would like to see if I am fortunate enough to be elected to this position, in the time that I'm here, I would like to see us continue in the path that's been created so far. I'd like to see us continue down that road and make the improvements that are necessary, but build on what we have and assure that we meet our objectives and do it in a way that is, what's the word I'm looking for? That is that follows the value sets that we have here in our community. That's what I'm after. So,
Brian Woodward, thank you. Caleb Gill.
Yeah, a lot really the same. continue the level of excellent education that this district is doing for our kids. A wonderful staff, wonderful administration that is working, I agree with Ms. Davis, working above and beyond at times for these kids. The other big one that I would love to see is the protection, CKA. Finally get that resolved and done. The other, and this one, continue with the high reliability schools. I think it's setting this district apart. I think it's showing not only our state, but the nation. Go back to the question that I was asked to start with on the national narrative that public schools are failing. We're not. And we're proving that, not only to ourselves, outside resources are telling us, are showing, hey, you're not failing. And I think that's a good indication of where this district is headed. And my closing statement, I guess, would be that I've just appreciated being a part of it. It's been an excellent opportunity for me to see how this district runs, what their goals are, and really what they're really trying to accomplish here. And they are trying to take care of what it is, a lot of professionals trying to do their jobs. And it's a pleasure working with them. I'd just love to see it continue.
Thank you, Caleb Guild. We move to our closing statement and the answer to question 9 from David Bennett.
Well, some people might ask that question, why? I've done this for 2 terms, 8 years, and worked with all of these people. I guess the why has to do with the fact that I've got grandkids in the system. I've got 21 years at the high school, a lot of time invested in kids. Some of you out there who watch this are my ex-graduates. I also, I can tell a good teacher, and you tell a good teacher in the community by what happens at Walmart or someplace else, and when the kids come up to them and want to talk to those teachers, that teacher has built relationships, and I think that's important in our district that our teachers do that. I have some things I think we need to work on. One thing is we need to build back the carryover that we've spent on the facility. I'm not against the facility, but we've got to get that carryover back where it was. I am still against the size of the board. I think it should be 7. We don't need 9 of us up here trying to gurgulate everything. I was in 6 districts, and this is the only one where they've got 9. Of course, some of that was Idaho where they had 5. So I'm in favor of 7 board members, and I'll pester people about that again because I like doing that. The other thing is our activity program, all up and down the board. I think it's mediocrity. I don't think we have we continue to just do the same damned old thing, and we don't get any results. We've got to change some things, and that's going to step on some feelings. I think it's time to look at improvement, and to me, as an athlete or in the band, wherever you're in, it's no fun to lose. It's fun to win. So don't give me that crap, it's okay to lose. So that's where I'm at, and you know me, I'll tell you what I think about it. Now, Will, as a board member, too. Thank you.
David Bennett, thank you. On to Shelby Powell.
I have spent many years in the classroom. The majority is at the college level. I've taught college level biology for many years, and I've seen students come into my classroom as a college classroom not prepared to be a college student. I've taught at the elementary here in the district, and I've already told you my frustrations with not having enough support for my students in the classroom. So the thing that I would like to see as a success is having fewer students fall through the cracks, have them better prepared for their futures. This is their future. I now work with people that have never completed high school, and they are struggling. We are paying for them now. This is what the legislature needs to understand, that if we can't get their education through high school, we're going to pay for them later. And I love the people I work with. I loved my students, and I want to see success for my students. Both those I had in the elementary, those I've had in college. That would be the goal of my term on the school board, is to make sure we have student success.
Shelby Powell, thank you. On to Jenny Welling.
I would hope that the staff in the district feel that we as a board are extremely grateful for the work that you do. We talk about it all the time, that we would not be successful without the work that you do as teachers. And I'm not just saying that so that I can get votes. We are extremely grateful for everything that you guys do. So funding is one of the things that I'm going to fight for really hard, and I think by joining this lawsuit, hopefully we can get more funding, continue on the path of high reliability schools. I'm so proud of the work that our district has done in qualifying for level 2. We'll now be working on level 3. Continue working on CKA. I think we're finally starting to see light at the end of the tunnel, that we're going to be able to get this accomplished and get it working the way that we have intended it to for the last 6 or 7 years. The students and staff are my first priority, and they are in every decision that we make. It is students and staff, and that's what we base our decisions off of. And I would appreciate your vote on November 8th.
Thank you, Jenny Welling. Jesse Lind.
I would like to see us be a top national school. I'd like to see us have some of the top facilities in the state. I'd like to see us continue on the pathway of excellence, and the fact that we continue to have a higher graduation rate, continue to offer a great education for our kids. I just want us to see us continue to do what we're doing, but get better at it. I'm a little bit with David, too. I'd like to see us start winning a little bit more again. We came from a lot of activities where we used to win, and I want to see us win some more. So, but besides that, I think we're doing a great job, and I appreciate all the staff. I appreciate the hard work that they do. Like I said, I've had a kid graduate. I graduated, my son graduated, and I will have some more kids go through the school district. So I'd appreciate everybody's support, and I'm just happy to be up here. And I think we should be very privileged that we have a lot of qualified candidates running for school board. So I respect everybody up here, and I appreciate everybody for running. So.
Thank you, Jesse. And rounding things off with John Du Bois.
Okay, thank you very much. Most people that know me know that I'm a pretty cut and dry type of guy. I like the bottom line up front. I don't like to waste a lot of time. I'm very studious in everything that I do. I'm 66 years old, and I'm still working full-time because I love what I do. I've got to stay busy. I think I have brought to the board a lot of experience. I've lived in Germany, I've lived in Hawaii, I'm from Arizona, lived in Kansas. I mean, I've lived in all kinds of different places where my kids have gone to different schools. We've got 6 kids, I've got 11 grandkids, and I've got 2 great-grandkids and 1 on the way. Education is paramount to me, and it has been in my family for years. My father was a pharmacist. He was a chemistry major. He was the top student in his pharmacy class at the University of Arizona. So education's been important. When I went to college, I was told to go to somewhere else because I was in the bottom 10% of my high school class. Well, that's just the reality of what it was. But I stayed. I told the school administrator, I said, I am not going to go anywhere else. I want to go to school here. What do I need to do? He said, you go to school here for 3 semesters. You get this GPA. You do this. Well, three semesters later, I was admitted into school. I met my wife there. Education has always been at the top of my list. Even in the work that I'm involved with right now, I deal with safety issues all the time. I pay my employees well. My business is profitable. My turnover is extremely minimal. It's important for me to. Is it? Well, listen, I just love being on the school board, and I really hope that folks allow me to stay on the school board.
John Du Bois, thank you very much. Candidates, thank you. Thank you to everyone who attended tonight, to the administration and anybody involved in having a hand to set up this forum. Applaud all of you for putting yourself out there and being willing to serve. If you did not catch this in its entirety, it will be on the district's website at uinta1.com. Do remember to exercise your right and privilege to vote, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Mark was on the board at one time. Right, Mark? You were on the board at one time.
At one time, yeah.
Been there, done that.